Now, we're in the wrap up of May. It's time for the last video for the month. I decided to pick a movie review, and I couldn't think of a better way to do this one. I'm going to do a review on Cruella, a movie that came out last year, and I do want to talk about it. When the movie first got announced, I kind of wasn't ready because it was going to be like Maleficent live action movie, but after watching it, it's actually a surprisingly enjoyable movie, up until the end, but we'll get to that later. Let's get into the details of the story. Cruella is born with the name Estella, and yes, she even has the black and white hair, and her mother calls her Cruella. Later on, she walks by some Dalmatians, they growl at her, which I did roll my eyes because it was so obvious. Then it started to change. Without giving away the beginning of the movie, it goes hilariously mean-spirited. I was shocked at that. Cruella is on her own and later befriends two boys, Jasper and Horace. She decides to become a designer and gets a job in the department where she meets Baroness von Hellman. Yeah, great name, but get used to that, peeps. She sees potential in this young designer and decides to take her wing. Estella discovers that there's more to her than she lets on and vows to take her down and revenge herself as Cruella. Her plan is to revenge Baroness, whether it's sabotaging her and make better clothes or trash her clothes. And the story that goes out of hand. Yeah, the story is like Maleficent, where she's not really a villain. Again, we'll get to that later. Let's get to the characters. Cruella is a great character in this. When she's being evil, she stays in that way. She's doing mean and vindictive things just because doing all this and getting revenge on Baroness. And you know what? That was the most fun stuff I actually enjoyed. Plus, the performance on Emma Stone was fantastic. It looks like she's having a blast playing different kinds of roles. I was kind of curious of the casting at first, but she really did a great job, and Emma Stone is one of my favorite actresses. Plus, Emma Thompson as Baroness did a great job too. I never expect her to have the role like that. So yeah, those are the two lead roles I really enjoyed. The other characters are fine, despite that Jasper and Horace did have a little part for Cruella. But hey, what can you do with the henchmen? Aside from the characters, it is wildly creative and twisted it was, like I said in the beginning. It actually gave me a Series of Fortune Events vibes. While I'm not a die-hard fashion designer, the costumes do look awesome, hence why it won an Oscar for Best Costume Design, and even the makeup and hairstyle looks great in the movie. Now let's get to my favorite highlight, aside from the characters and the fun stuff, is the soundtrack. I can't believe this soundtrack to this movie sounds amazing. If you haven't heard the soundtrack, I highly recommend listening to the soundtrack. It's like 40 plus songs on the playlist. I would add them in the video, but I can't because copyright claim. Now let's get to the big problem with the movie, and that's the ending. Yep, a good film got ruined by a bad ending. And I do feel bad for this movie trying hard to make something better than the rest was. In fact, it would have been nice if the movie could have ended where Baroness says she killed my dogs and made a coat. Yeah, the credits would have rolled and I would have been happy. But yeah, let me talk about the ending. Yeah, it does tag on this unnecessary part that was setting up a plan. And yeah, it did blow it. Still, I had a really good time watching this movie. Yeah, it's mean-spirited, but it was wonderfully mean-spirited. And honestly, this might be my favorite Disney live-action remake. Or is it reboot? Either way, that's rare for me to say. You could say Pete's Dragon remake from 2016 comes close as the best, which, yeah, but it has some problems. But Cruella was more enjoyable after watching the whole thing. In fact, I actually do want to talk about this movie again in a future video. If you haven't seen the movie, you might like it, but you might find it too dark. I mean, it has a different tone. If you're older like me, you have to like it, and soon you will have to check it out. That is all for my review of Cruella. Definitely a fun video to do. But now, let's move on to June for more surprise videos coming. I'll see you guys in June for more videos.